Artificial sweeteners seem like this magical solution. They have all of that sweetness and none of the calories. Think about it. A regular Coke has 150 calories from 39 grams of sugar, and a Diet Coke has 0 calories. It seems like the most obvious no-brainer decision in the world. The marketing is also brilliant because with these artificial sweeteners, we have none of the sugar and none of the calories, we maintain a healthy weight, and we also avoid those chronic diseases like diabetes. And the marketing worked because now we have these artificial sweeteners in Diet Coke and other type of diet sodas, but also in chewing gum, in diet yogurts, sweeteners for coffee and tea, and so on. But here's the thing, and this is why I wanted to talk to you today. There's more to these sweeteners than just the number of calories that they have. I looked into some research, including some pretty eye-opening recent studies, and I have to be honest with you, I'm getting a little bit worried about their long-term safety. Now let's start with the positive, because I'm not here to completely terrify you. These artificial sweeteners that are used in Europe and in the US, they have undergone rigorous safety assessments. They're not just some random chemical that someone cooked up in their garage. They have been tested extensively, and they are considered safe and alternative replacements for sugar that we can use in our food. Also, when I was doing research for this, I saw some headlines saying that these artificial sweeteners might cause cancer. But then when I looked into solid research, looking at the effect of these sweeteners on people, there was absolutely no proof that there was an increase in cancer incidence. So that's just not true. We can forget about that one as well. And then finally, these sweeteners can effectively help reduce your sugar intake. They won't magically make processed food any healthier, but they can be a tool in a toolkit, you know? Now, let's go to the bad, because this is where it gets a little bit more intriguing. So the first one, I really love this one. This is just too funny, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna sound very familiar. Whenever we have something diet, let's say a Diet Coke, we tell ourselves it's totally fine to have that extra slice of cake now. Basically, we think that we're saving calories, but in the end, we're actually just shifting them around. This is so prevalent, researchers even have a name for it, and they call it calorie compensation. I love how our mind works. Now, to understand why these sweeteners are not as harmless as we think they are, we need to go again to the biology behind them. So they've been designed to hit our sugar taste receptors just like sugar does, but they're actually far more potent, 200 to 700 times stronger. They basically trick our taste buds into thinking, hey, there's something sweet coming in, we need to get ready to break down that energy. But that's actually kind of strange, right? Because we do get that sweet taste, but there's no energy whatsoever. And at the same time, there are some weird results coming from observational studies where they see that people that consume more of these artificial sweeteners, that is actually associated with weight gain. Now, there's one of these studies, which is called the San Antonio Heart Study. Here they followed a group of people who drinks more than 21 diet sodas per week. And so they found that for this group of people, they actually gain more weight than for a group of people that don't drink any diet sodas. Now, correlation, like in this observational study between people who drink a lot of diet soda and weight gain, doesn't mean causation. It can be that the people that already struggle with weight just drink more diet soda. That's the inherent weakness of a study like this. But then there's this recent study that shows how this link between artificial sweeteners and potential weight gain might actually work. In the study, the researchers wanted to understand what happens in the brain when we consume sucralose, which is also known as Splenda. Now, to understand this, they had a group of 75 people and they gave them 3 different drinks on separate occasions. The first one was just water, the control. Then they also had a drink that was sweetened with sugar. And finally, they had a drink that was sweetened with sucralose. They then literally followed the activity in their brain with a technique called functional MRI. And they also measured their hunger feeling and their hunger hormone response. And what they saw was absolutely wild because unlike sugar, sucralose actually increased the activity in the hypothalamus, which is the brain region that controls appetite and hunger. So basically people were getting more hungry with sucralose. And the effect was even stronger with obese people. It's like the artificial sweetener was saying to the brain, hey, you need to eat more. But there's even more because unlike sugar, which when you consume it increases the hormones that make you feel full, sucralose didn't have that same effect. So When you consume sucralose, basically what's happening is that you get more hungry and you get less of the signal that you're getting full. This is the exact opposite of what you would want. So, what this study suggests is that with these artificial sweeteners, which again are very sweet but they have absolutely no calories, that they prevent our bodies from properly associating sweetness with nutrition. So when we consume a lot of them, we actually start to expect that every sweet signal is no calories, and it makes that we crave for more sweetness. We want sweeter food over more nutritious food, and eventually this could cause weight gain. So this is in line with all those studies that we've seen before. Imagine your brain tasting something sweet and logically expecting fuel, but then there is absolutely nothing. So it's logic that you will be craving more and more sweet food over time. Now, there's more because it's not just about feeling full or being hungry. There's also evidence that artificial sweeteners might directly increase our risk for diabetes. There are two hypotheses going around, and they might actually both be going on at the same time. The first one says that these artificial sweeteners might directly affect our gut microbiome and thereby increase glucose absorption and also trigger insulin production. The second hypothesis is based on what is called the cephalic phase insulin response. And basically what is happening is that when our brain tastes something sweet, that it is getting our body ready by making sure that a little bit of insulin is being released. Now, both of these hypotheses lead to insulin production, and this is where the problem is. Because high levels of insulin over time lead to insulin resistance in our cells. And this leads to chronic conditions like diabetes, but also heart problems and brain disorders like dementia and Alzheimer. Most importantly though, the idea that these artificial sweeteners are totally inert when it comes to insulin, that seems to need to have a rethink. And here's another thing that these artificial sweeteners can do. They can actually change the way that we taste food. Remember that I said that artificial sweeteners are hundreds of times more potent than sugar is? Well, what happens when we use them for longer periods of time, that constant overstimulation of our taste buds makes that we're less capable of tasting more refined, more complex flavors. What does that mean in practice? Well, we will find natural food like fruits, which is less sweet, we will just find it less appealing. And non-sweet food like vegetables, we find them totally unedible. That's actually pretty bad because it means that we will be shifting away from more nutritious, healthy, more natural foods like fruits and vegetables to more processed, more artificial and also heavily enriched foods, foods that are heavily enriched in sugars. I was actually really surprised with this one because, okay, so I hardly have any food with artificial sweeteners, maybe a Diet Coke once a month, maybe some chewing gum, but that's it. And at the same time, I really like fruit. Like on a sunny day like today, a fresh orange, absolutely wonderful. But what about you? Are you using foods with artificial sweeteners on a more regular basis? And is this something that you recognize that you don't like fruit and vegetables as much anymore? So with all these results that I've discussed so far, it's clear that artificial sweeteners are not as innocent as we thought. If we have them for longer periods of time, they can actually mess with how our brain works, with our appetite hormones, with our gut bacteria, and even with the way that we taste food. Now, there's still a lot to understand about these artificial sweeteners, and there's a ton of research going on. But with these results so far, for me it's clear that we should only have them in moderation. But that can actually be more difficult than we think because these artificial sweeteners are already in so many food products. And this is important to me, so I want to make sure you don't get me wrong. I think food is really important in our lives. I love food, and I just had breakfast. I'm already looking forward to lunch. That's how bad it is for me. So if we want to change our eating habits, that we can maintain it for a longer period of time, we have to enjoy that food, otherwise it's just not sustainable. So can we really enjoy food when there's no added sugar or some artificial sweetener in there? Well, think about it. When we have food with less sugar, not only is it healthier for us, but we will actually retrain our taste buds so that we find less sweet foods like fruits, again, very enjoyable. For me, this makes total sense because it's just like with smokers. When they stop smoking within 2 to 3 weeks, they rediscover these flavors that they haven't tasted for so many years. So for me, it's very logical that if we eat less sweet food, we start to love fruits and vegetables in no time again. So after hearing all of these results, what do you guys think? Do you see yourself eating less of that food that has artificial sweeteners? Or are you already eating less sweet food? And can you recognize yourself in that you find fruits and vegetables really enjoyable? Or do you still find them totally disgusting? Let me know in the comments. And also, if you have specific questions about how certain diets influence our lifestyle, let me know as well. I love to research this and then make a video about it, just like this one. And then finally, if you want to know more about the relationship between sugar, insulin, and insulin resistance of our cells, have a look at this video that I made earlier, where I explain it in much more detail. All right, see you guys later.